Perfect. Okay, wow, we are seeing quite a number of people joining. Again, a very good morning for those of you who have just joined. It's a really great opportunity to have you here. So for this month's webinar, it's me again. For those of you who has probably seen me, Amanda, you're already used to seeing my face. Welcome back. It's always a great pleasure to have you, attend our monthly webinars. And for those of you who are new to our public webinars, I'd like to give you a warm welcome and thank you so much for taking the opportunity and the time to attend one of our free public webinars. All right. So over here, right, so let's just see the chat for a bit here. Okay. So 52, 53. All right. So just a bit more time. Okay, perfect. So without further ado, let's officially begin this webinar. Right. So for today, we have a very, very special guest over here at my side. This is Suffian. He is a colleague of mine at Cancer Research Malaysia, and he is part of the genomics and bioinformatics unit. All right. So, Sufyan, great to have you here today. So, how are you feeling?
Yeah, good. Doing
Awesome, amazing, amazing. So, I hope you're not feeling nervous or anything.
a little bit, I guess.
All good, all good. Yeah.
My
So we're
first
really
webinar.
happy. Again, thank you because I've reached out to you and contacted you about participating in this month's webinar, and you were more than happy to accommodate. So I do appreciate that. All right. So for today, Sufyan, I get that we are going to be talking about something very, very interesting. And I think this would be appealing to the Malaysian public. So for us Malaysians. So we are going to be talking about how we as Malaysians can minimize our cancer risk. So the key word here is minimize, not prevent, but we will be talking a bit more about that.
Yes.
So, Sylvian, maybe you can just talk a bit about yourself to
Mm.
our audience right over here because they may not be familiar with who you are and what's the work you do as compared to me, your colleague.
Okay. So I'll start. Hello everyone. Thank you so much for spending your time and joining our monthly webinar. My name is Suffian Azizan. I am a cancer bioinformatician working in genomics and bioinformatics unit in at Cancer Research Malaysia. So basically, my day-to-day is working with cancer data and trying to answer questions, biological questions from these huge data set that we have.
Okay, that's good enough. I think that's a great introduction. And so, let's get started with the questions that I have for you, Sufyan. So, are you ready for that?
Yes, I'm
Okay,
ready.
great. So, let's talk about cancer. So, I'm sure that every one of us is familiar with the disease. And I actually did read in some statistics and also
Mm,
the news that cancer cases are on the rise. It's not just worldwide, but
yeah.
also specifically here in Malaysia, and that's quite a concerning issue. So I just want to know which specific types of cancers are found more commonly among us Malaysians.
Mm. So So okay, so I will start by saying that this is a very nice way of starting off the webinar. Basically, to directly answer the question, in terms of cancer cases that is most commonly seen among Malaysian population, based on the National Cancer Registry, top cancers in Malaysia are actually slightly different in terms of distribution between men and women. So basically, if you look into the registry, for men, we're mostly looking at colorectal cancer, lung cancer, and this interesting nasopharyngeal cancer, which is the nose and throat cancer. And these are actually more common in Asian population as well, than anywhere else in the world. For women, it's by far number one would be breast cancer, which makes sense. I think it's almost common knowledge now.
Yeah.
And then followed by colorectal cancer and also cervical cancer. But then I guess if you try to combine both sexes and look at them in general, I would say breast cancer and colorectal cancer would sit right at the top of the list.
Oh, that's interesting actually. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you that it's quite common knowledge by now
Mm,
that breast cancer is very prominent,
yeah.
especially among women, but I mean, men do also get breast
Yes.
cancer, but
Yes.
it's a rarer case. I think it's only like 1% of the
Yes.
population only gets a male breast cancer. But for women, yeah, absolutely. So thank you for informing us about that. So now we sort of have like a better understanding of what types of cancers that actually affect us Malaysians. So the interesting thing is that you see, maybe you can compare Malaysia to some other different country. You'll notice that, oh, maybe say for example, colorectal cancer is more prominent in Malaysia compared to, I say, for example, like Australia. But is it because of like the demographic? Is it like our genes, or is it because of the environment of the country that we're living in?
So that question is actually slightly complex to answer, but we can generally distill the answer, the complex answer, into basically what we call environmental or modifiable environmental risk factors.
Mhm.
So, to, I guess, directly answer your question,
Mhm.
definitely there is this difference in the environments between different countries,
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
compounded by different genetic backgrounds and predispositions. And these are all of the little components that interact with each other to lead into this difference in cancer prevalence, different types of cancer prevalence across different populations.
Yeah, because I also understand that cancer itself is very complex. It's not
Mm,
just caused by one factor, it can be
exactly. It's
caused
not
by
just a
multiple factors.
disease. It's
Yes,
actually an
ex
umbrella term for a lot of diseases.
I see. Okay, interesting.
Sorry, for a lot
So,
of tumor diseases.
yeah,
I'm not trying to
absolutely.
include
Yeah, I
these
agree. Yeah,
diseases. Yeah.
agreed. So I also, because based on what I just asked you, so
Mm,
I get the feeling that our lifestyles, our unique lifestyles, maybe ones that are applicable to us Malaysians, it sort of sets us apart from the other nationalities across the world, right?
mm,
All right. So which brings me to my next question. How much of the common cancers here in Malaysia can be attributed to our local lifestyles? Because I understand that cancer can be inherited. It can be,
mm.
inherited from your parents. It's all about your genes. So I think this one people would actually know about this fact. But then at the same time, there's also lifestyle. So let's focus more on the Malaysian lifestyle. Yeah.
So 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 basically, I think we need to like take a step back and think about how there are differences in terms of what causes cancers. Of course, like you mentioned just now, there are genetic basis of certain cancers. But in the recent decade, I would say we have started to appreciate the fact that there is about, I would quote a modest number, about 40% of all cancers are actually preventable. But I'm using the word preventable here very loosely. Basically, I would say that about 40% of all cancers are have causes that we can try to minimize the risk of. These are all linked to certain modifiable lifestyle factors that we can take a step and try to change.
Mhm.
These are the different things like diet, I would say physical activity, as well as some consumption, such as smoking or alcohol. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yep. So you were talking about how much all of these things can be attributed to different
Lifestyle.
common cancers in Malaysia.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would say diet and certain consumption like smoking, as well as obesity rate. These are the three main major things that I would say quite that form some kind of um, a mosaic of factors that
I
is
see.
attributable to certain common cancers that we see in Malaysia, such as colorectal cancer and lung cancer.
Mm. Okay, interesting. Yeah, thank you for that. So now, since you've mentioned about diet, the food that we eat, let's talk a bit more about that, shall we? So I think this is something that's interesting to us Malaysians because we're very, very proud of our food. It's part of our culture, it's integral, and we are very, very proud of our nasi lemak, our laksa, etc. So, but the thing is that the Malaysian diet, I think all of us are quite aware of this. It's very high in sugar,
Mm,
and there's quite a number of processed meats, processed foods, and what's not, we just love the fried foods as well, ayam goreng, fried bananas, fritters, and all of that. So, yeah. So the problem is that, obviously, if you eat a lot of unhealthy food, it's going to lead to like unhealthy
mm,
consequences. But
yes.
again, like I said, this is like part of Malaysian culture. It's our cuisine, we can't
Mm,
just get rid of it. So, what sort of realistic dietary shifts can you recommend so that, Malaysians can, you know, um, eat a bit healthier, but at the same time, we can also still
mm,
enjoy our, local cuisine?
mm. So I think it's nice to be realistic, I would say. So it's not productive to just come to people and say, oh, we should give up, for example, nasi lemak forever. That's
Sad.
not possible, right? But it is also worth taking a step back and like trying to rephrase this a little bit better.
Mhm.
We are not like it's not that our food, our landscape of cuisines in Malaysia are carcinogenic, for example. It's not that. It's actually more about the portion or the frequency of how you what you eat, and the balance of eating all of these different cuisines. We should definitely and sorry, I want to go back to the word that you use in the question, which is you said what kind of realistic
Yes.
dietary shifts, and that is a very nice way of putting it. We have we if we want to, I would say, eat healthier, we don't have to just give up on our local cuisine and start eating broccoli
Yeah.
every day, for example. We
Okay.
what we need to do, I think, is to start to make little shifts. For example, you can, instead of just deep frying everything, you can start incorporating or eating more food that is still local but prepared slightly differently. We
Oh,
can try to opt for something that is shallow fried or even air fried, which is
yeah. It's a
quite
trend nowadays. Yeah.
which is definitely healthier than
Of
deep.
course. Yeah.
There's also this ways that we can try to swap certain processed meats. Like if you maybe like nuggets, for example, you can maybe stop eating that and try to maybe make nuggets from scratch from actual chicken breast, for example.
Mm. Yeah.
And just try to incorporate more vegetable and fiber into your diet. That's a good step, I would say, to towards a, a better dietary patterns.
Okay. So maybe we can take the nasi lemak.
Mm,
Maybe we can take nasi lemak. So, looking at the nasi lemak, how would you make it healthier?
Healthier.
How?
Uh, I personally think nasi lemak is healthy enough. It's just
Okay.
that you need to consider different the portioning of your nasi lemak. So
Okay.
maybe half, just half
The
your white
rice.
chicken, for example, and maybe add a little bit more cucumber. And the sambal itself is fine, I personally think. You can load up a little bit on that, but also consider different kind of protein preparation. Maybe I don't know if people do this, but maybe instead of deep fried chicken, you can just put a roast chicken there. But I don't know. It's
Mm,
just something that you should um like bear in mind when you are trying to eat your favorite nasi lemak meal. And it's even if you don't want to do all of these changes, maybe you want to be slightly more authentic with your nasi lemak. It's fine. It's just that don't eat it every day. You can just eat it maybe once a week. If that's too much, then maybe
okay.
every other day is also fine. Just making sure that you are not really consuming and consuming without mindfully thinking about what you consume. I think that's the a nice way of summarizing how we can make dietary shifts to minimize cancer risk.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So what you're trying to say, this is my main takeaway from your
Mm,
answer, is that you have to practice everything in moderation.
exactly.
Yeah, so I think you're all free to go ahead and enjoy your nasi lemak, your rendang, your laksa. Okay, now I'm getting a bit hungry. All right, so we can all enjoy our food, of course, as much as we like to, but of course, too much of something is never good.
Mm,
And if I think another healthy way of making changes to your diet is to do home cooking instead of
yes,
always dining
definitely.
outside. Because when you're at home, you are able to control the ingredients, you can
Mm,
control how much of salt, how much of soy sauce, or
mm,
spices that you can
yes.
put in your own food. And I think we are all also quite familiar with some trends. Sufyan, you did mention about air frying because that's a healthier way because you don't have to add additional oil
Yeah,
to the whatever you're air frying because the oil is already there. So if you're cooking some sort of
exactly.
protein like chicken, then the natural oils that exist in the
Mm,
chicken would be the one that's cooking it.
cooking it, yeah.
So that's also good. And then there's also steaming. So at least
Yeah.
Chinese culture, we like to steam a lot of
Mm,
things. I think water-based food is also considered the healthiest options, like
yes.
steaming, soups and stews.
Mm,
Those are like better alternatives as compared to eating like deep fried foods. Yeah.
yeah.
So
So,
I
so the reason I will just add some fun fact. The reason why it's actually healthier because there's no chance of the thing that you are cooking to
mhm.
over oxidize. For example,
Over-oxidized.
the oil can oxidize, and once it's over oxidizes, it can produce all of this un unnecessary
Mhm.
and even dangerous molecules. And these are chemicals that some of them have been found to be what's the word? Carcinogenic.
Carcinogenic,
So
yeah.
yeah, so water, there's no way of oxidizing it; it just evaporates. So I think that's why it is considered the best way of preparing food. But of
Mhm.
course, it gets to a point, right? We don't want to just steam everything.
Yeah,
So
of course, of course.
these things in moderation, I would say the best way of incorporating the shift in diet.
Yeah. And speaking of oil, so there are many substitutes for oil nowadays. So
Mm,
instead of using like the typical canola oil and what sort,
yeah.
there's always olive oil, there's avocado oil, and of course there's a coconut oil as well.
Mm,
So all of these are like, well, they are still oil, but they're considerably healthier and they
mm,
provide more health benefits as compared to like the regular like peanut oil or the canola oil that we usually use in cooking.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean, I think nowadays we're seeing a lot of people taking interest in eating healthy and
Yes.
cooking healthier. So
Which
you'll definitely probably hear your aunt talking about, oh, that's like this new type of oil called like rapeseed oil, something like that.
mm,
And then
mm,
we should all like try to eat a bit healthy. I think we'll definitely hear one or two people talking about it. So I think it's a good thing that Malaysians are like taking their health into consideration, even if it means adjusting the diet, changing the food that we eat. But again, I mean, there's no way that you can hold a Malaysian back from being denied from their roti canai or nasi lemak
mm.
because there's no way that can happen to me personally. So yeah, of course. But as Sufyan recommended, just practice everything in moderation. And if you can incorporate more vegetables, more fibers, like whole grain, like instead of eating like white bread, you can go for the whole meal or the whole grain version of that. And I guess you can reduce on carbs as well, right, Sufyan?
Definitely, we can reduce on carbs, but
Yeah.
so there has been push towards a diet where there is meat heavy,
Mm,
zero carb. I personally think from my reading, I'm not a nutritionist, but from my reading, it's not exactly the right way of I think healthily approach trying to minimize cancer risk because processed not only processed meat but red meat consumption is also has been in previous studies have been shown to at least show some association with certain types of cancers, especially gastrointestinal related
I
cancers like
see.
stomach cancer and colorectal cancer, colon cancer. So definitely, I would say again, it goes back to the word moderation. Definitely try to balance everything, um, so that we don't really overconsume
Yeah.
one part of the food types
Yeah,
over the.
definitely, definitely. And most importantly, don't overconsume fats and sugars.
Mm,
Very bad.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah, and they can actually increase your risk of developing certain types of cancers, right?
Yes. Yes.
Definitely. Yeah, so food is a very important thing. And still on the topic on food, so we're talking about trends and such like that. So, Sufyan, I'm sure you have heard like maybe some people saying some things like, oh, if I eat this certain type of food, it actually reduces my risk of developing cancer in the future. I've heard that for things like tomatoes. So I think
Right.
there is
Yes.
actually like a term for it. It's called superfoods. So we
Yes.
talk about things like acai berries, those berries, and maybe avocado, etc., etc. There's like a lot of foods that we tend to associate, which we perceive as very, very healthy. So that
Mm.
if we eat plenty of it, if we include a lot of it in our diet, it's definitely going to keep us free from cancer. But what do you personally think about this, Sufyan?
Actually, it is slightly my pet peeve as well. Whenever
Ah,
people like we see uh especially in food advertisement, they would say, "Oh, this food is packed. Sorry, this product is packed with different superfood and stuff like that." Or some are even promoting one particular food, for example, acai berry, say, calling it a superfood, and you have to consume more of it. I feel like it detracts from the fact that there is no one magic bullet for preventing cancer, and we're talking about preventing, not curing cancer. Like preventing cancers, these are not what we can consider like magical shields. These are there is no research that supports just one superfood quotes that is going to prevent 100% any type of cancer. And it's worth highlighting this. No cancer is actually 100% preventable. Whenever we say or we use the word prevent cancer, I think
mhm,
that's a short form of actually trying to refer to risk reduction, so minimizing risk, which is why we title this webinar minimizing risk.
yeah.
So Okay, so I guess that was me digressing, but basically going back to your questions about superfood, I think it's worth thinking about not just different particular specific food that we can eat more of to minimize risk of cancer, but think of incorporating different superfood into different dietary style that you prefer, and this is what I think is a more potent way of shifting your diet.
Yeah,
Basically, it's going beyond superfood into maybe what we call a super diet.
yeah,
Something that is incorporating the different patterns of diet into your day to day. If so sorry, so basically think of it as a diet that is rich in a lot of variety, healthy variety like
yeah,
vegetables, whole
right.
grains, and low in processed or red meat. All of these are, I would say, more protective against cancer than just focusing on one or two things.
Mhm. Which actually reminds me that there is some sort of a recommendation, but I'm not sure where the source is from. But they said that um, you should make your plate look colorful. So they're talking about eating a
Yeah,
lot
I've heard
of
of that as well.
vegetables, like maybe red for tomatoes,
Hmm.
yellow for bell peppers, green for another type of bell peppers, or
Yeah,
some other vegetables. So it's like to incorporate color into your diet. So that's like one of the recommendations, and of course, I think it sort of encourages people to try new things because it would be very unrealistic. Say, for example, if you ate like tomatoes every single day, like for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, just because you heard some sort of research saying that, oh, tomatoes, they contain some sort of antioxidant which can
lycopene
prevent
to be
cancer.
specific.
Yeah, I don't think that's
So,
very
so,
good.
um, so I just want to clarify myself.
Hmm.
I am not saying the idea of superfood doesn't exist. There are definitely food that have been well studied. For example, like you mentioned, tomatoes. It contains lycopene, which is a very nice, very potent antioxidant. There is also all of the different broccoli families. Another fun fact, broccoli actually comes from a particular ancestor family that also produces other different things such as cauliflower, which is why it looks
Yeah, I
almost.
think it's like called the mustard family or something.
Yes, yes, you're correct.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah.
So from that, we actually have artificially evolved different vegetables, cauliflower, broccoli, kale is also one of it. All of this also this family also have produces sulforaphane, if I'm not mistaken, and this has been shown to have very potent what we call anti-angiogenic property. So angiogenesis in medicine refers to the formation of blood vessels. You have to remember that cancer cells are just a normal cells that is trying to, sorry, cancer cells are disease cells in our body, but it operates just like a normal cell. It requires nutrient, and this can only be delivered to them via the formation of blood vessels. So there are certain food that can have that certain food that have particular compounds that can prevent the formation of unwanted blood vessels. So these are the different food that we can try to incorporate into our diet, I would say. It's not a magic bullet where you can just eat one thing and hope for the best. I think
Yeah,
that's
absolutely not. I don't think so. Yeah. So, I mean, I fully agree with you saying that instead of focusing a lot on superfoods, you think about a super diet
mm,
instead. So, include variety, practice moderation. I think that's more than enough. That's more than enough, actually. Yeah. So, wow, we actually did talk a lot about food. And that's quite interesting. But now let's talk about something else that we Malaysians also experience here. So, recently, have you noticed that it's been really hot?
Yeah,
There's barely any rain.
very
There
hot.
was rain in the beginning of Chinese New Year. I remember it was like
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
day itself and maybe the day before. But
Mm.
after that, it was just like sunshine, sunshine,
Sunshine.
sunshine. It was really, really hot. So Malaysians, we are used, more or less used to this weather. Some of us may not be, and then we'll just complain about how it's so panas, it's so hot and
Mm.
whatnot. And so the thing is that, okay, so sunlight, well, it's good for us, it's good for like drying our clothes, and sometimes we just feel cold, we just step out into the light and then we're just like, oh my goodness, the sunlight feels so good, right? But of course we understand that sunlight or maybe UV rays in specific
Mm.
can be very harmful to us. And just to add in a random fact, I also read something about how Australians, as compared to
Mm.
Malaysians, they are more prone to certain types of cancers like skin cancer because the sunlight there is like so strong or something like that, and it actually, well, gives them like melanoma or skin cancer. So Sufyan, I just want to know maybe just a bit more about this issue. I think you know where I'm getting at with this question,
Yes,
and
yes.
how we would actually be able to protect ourselves from skin cancer.
So yes, so basically, I just want to address one thing that I think a lot of us genuinely kind of underestimate. In Malaysia, we tend to think, oh, skin cancer is like a mat salih problem. It's a white people problem,
Yeah.
um, bec which is kind of true on some level because melanin production is actually what is going to protect us from harmful UV rays. But you have to also remember that we are a multi-ethnic country. So Chinese people, for example, don't produce as much melanin as Indian and Malay people. So there is this, we have to be mindful of that natural level of melanin production. And we have to also remember that um, we are this advantage is offset by the fact that Malaysia is in the tropical region. We receive high levels of UV rays almost throughout the years. The white people, especially living in the four seasons countries, they can afford to be sheltered from the UV rays during winters, for example. But in Malaysia, we are exposed to year-long
Yeah.
UV radiation. So it is definitely important that we do use sunscreen whenever we go out, even if you don't do any physical activity, even if you're just going out, just walking out and getting
Because
into your car.
because the
Uh,
only
also,
time like I hear people saying that they want
uh,
to put sunscreen is they're going to the beach.
yeah, that's actually a very it's not a good way of instilling um, a sunscreen usage habit.
Yeah.
Uh, you have to be applying sunscreen to your exposed skin whenever you go out. I
Mhm.
personally think you should wear it during the day, even if you stay in, because of our um, very strong Malaysian sun.
Yeah.
Um, but you can also, I guess, um, be mindful of it and incorporate habit. If you're not used to it, you can start off by, okay, every time I want to go out, I will apply sunscreen on my exposed skin, for example, and just slowly build that habit of wearing sunscreen. It's definitely one thing that would help you minimize the risk of skin cancer. And just to reiterate, UV rays is known carcinogen. So
Yeah,
it
100%.
UV radiation does
Very dangerous, right?
DNA damage and can lead to cancer. So
But
yeah.
some people they think that, oh, if it's a cloudy day, if there's no
Mm,
sun, or if it's raining or something like
uh,
that, if there's no sunlight, there's no ray of sunlight,
yeah,
that means there's no UV ray. Is that
yeah.
true or
That is
false?
That is
False.
false. Yes.
Okay,
So
interesting.
basically, the sun is out there. If it's in the day, during the day, the
Yes.
sun is technically above the layer of clouds that we are covered in. And there are certain, so there are different types of UV radiations. Certain types, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this. UVC is more penetrant. Basically, different types of UV rays can penetrate through layers of cloud as well. So as long as it's light outside, I think that's the best way of it's as long as it's not night outside,
Yes.
we still need to try to
Mm.
apply sunscreen on exposed skin,
Yes.
especially for our fair skin or lighter skin Malaysians like
Oh
Chinese.
no, like me.
Yes.
You're safe. You're definitely safer compared to me, Sufyan. Oh my goodness, this is so mean. Yeah, because you clearly have more melanin, but then again,
Yeah.
race does matter.
Yes.
And I mean, I think maybe but now that I think about it, maybe the reason why skin cancer is quite prominent in Australia because it's a Matsale country. So they
Mm.
don't have much melanin as
Yes.
compared to us. So that's why, they go up there, they expose themselves,
Yep.
God knows what else they do, and then boom, it's horrible. Yeah, and in Malaysia, I think we all also noticed that maybe some of the delivery abangs, for
Yeah.
Lalamu, for Grab, or Panda, Food
Yeah.
Panda, they always like cover themselves, they always wear
Mm.
long sleeves. I think some of us do, because when we drive or when we drive on cars
Mm.
or motorcycles, there's still some sunlight coming in from
Yes.
the wherever you are, so that's why they wear long sleeves, they wear a jacket and they just like go from like that.
Mm.
So but then again, I mean, besides the scientific point of this UV rays, I mean, aesthetically, um it's always recommended for us to put like sunscreen on our faces because that's like
Yes.
the
Yes. Because it's the
the most
most
down.
exposed part of this of
Yeah,
our skin,
exactly,
and the
exactly.
most sensitive skin part as well.
Oh, yeah. So you have to definitely put sunscreen on your face. I do it every morning. Of course,
Mm.
not in the evening when the sun has already gone
Yeah.
back to sleep. And yeah, everywhere here, even your neck area,
Yeah.
neckline. So this is me speaking aesthetically, not scientifically. This is what I know because besides worrying about the potential of getting skin cancer from too much of UV exposure, you are also going to get wrinkles. It's going to make you look older. So I'm sure we don't want that. We don't want to age so quickly and get those fine lines on our faces. So yeah, absolutely. Sunscreen is a must. But speaking of sunscreen, Sufyan, what is like the recommended, like SPF? That's the I
Mm.
think the amount of like the chemicals or whatsoever they put in sunscreen is like is 50 SPF like enough
Uh,
to protect us from the
Actually, about SPF 30 is also enough. But nowadays, if you look into a good sunscreen brand or a good sunscreen product, a lot of them are SPF 50 plus plus anyway. So just opt for that, I guess, and just build in the habit of applying them.
Okay.
Because if you are not building in that habit,
Okay.
it doesn't matter what SPF you have, you won't use it anyway. So
Yeah, you can't just like use it one time and just call it
yes,
a
yeah.
day. It has to be
If
a
you stay
routine.
out
Yeah, it has
long,
to be a
it's
routine.
better to reapply. Yeah.
Okay, okay, yeah, makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. Yeah. So we talked plenty about like food and of course the Malaysian weather, the heat.
Mm.
And okay, let's talk a bit about something else, Sufyan.
Yeah.
So I think recently, if you have been like online on social media, there are like a few charts comparing different
Different.
countries on
Uh-huh.
certain things. So for us Malaysians, they say that we have like the highest obesity cases in Southeast Asia, and we are also sort of like the laziest, one of like the top laziest people because we barely go out there and walk.
Mm.
But the thing is that Okay, with regards about the walking issue, a lot of Malaysians do like get into the comments and they said, "Oh, why don't you just try like walking 5 minutes out here in Malaysia and see how far
Yeah,
that leads you?" Because our country is not very pedestrian friendly and it's really hot because no Malaysian in the right mind would want to walk in the heat for like I don't know five
yeah.
minutes straight. It's sweaty, it gets us really hot, and we don't like it. So, well, with regards to that about the obesity and the lack of people who are walking. So I get that in our urban culture, we are sort of becoming increasingly sedentary. Like we
Mm,
prefer to stay indoors, we prefer to like
mm.
drive to our destination. So it's quite sedentary. So what is the recommended amount of physical activity of exercise that we need in order to reduce our cancer risk, Sufyan?
Okay, so if you refer to the WHO guideline, and I think a lot of major cancer organization also are aligned with this recommendation,
Mhm.
about 150 minutes of moderate activity per week, that's actually good enough to break out of this sedentary culture in urban settings. We have to kind of define what moderate activity means, though. So moderate activity is it in sport science, for example, this kind of moderate, low, or high activity, physical activity, these are specific terms that is used or that is measured based on an individual heart rate.
Mhm.
um, so if you are not used to physical activity and you are just starting out, your definition of moderate activity would actually be slightly lower than compared to, for example, an athlete. But a good practical guideline, I would say, is moderate activity is when you move enough that you sweat a little bit.
Okay, you
You can
sweat
still
and
talk.
your
There
heart
is
starts palpitating a bit faster.
Yes, there's no panting yet. You're probably slightly breathless,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
still, if someone calls, you can still talk on the phone,
Okay.
and being comprehensible enough. And all of this would fall under, I would say, brisk walking, for example.
Ah, yes,
Uh,
definitely. Yeah.
a very leisurely swimming.
Quicker
Or
version of walking.
yeah, and
Okay.
also even something like especially when you are just starting out and you kind of want to change make a change to your sedentary um habit, you can even do on the spot skipping without a rope, like
Hmm.
just motioning the act of skipping without a rope
Like
and
maybe
jumping.
jumping jacks or something like that.
Something like that is also fine, as long as there is a movement and it doesn't have to be walking. As long as
So,
movement and it makes your body move, I think that is a good start for people who are not used
mhm.
to active lifestyle. And I just want to add on. Even housewives can start moving more. Obviously, you do house chores, you do housework around the house. Even doing these kind of things are actually considered physical activity as well. So I just want to underline that, so that we understand that there are four specific modifier risk factors, and one of it is risk factors to minimizing cancers, and one of it is definitely physical activity. Increasing your physical activity
Mm.
every day is how you are going to be able to reduce the risk of getting any type of cancer.
Interesting. And then there's also like this very popular trend in which everyone says, oh, as long as I achieve like 10,000 steps a day,
Okay.
that
Yeah.
is good enough. But is that like the standard? So say for example, if
Yeah.
I want to do like a 10,000 steps a
Mhm.
day, is that considered enough?
Um, So, so a fun fact, the 10,000 thing is actually not scientific.
Oh,
It is the 10,000 K step was a Japanese um, company's advertisement effort to sell their wearables. But definitely 10K steps is good if if you can do it every day. But it's worth bearing in mind that that number is not scientific. In a recent study, I think there were a few studies in the recent years that published some kind of attempt to quantify how much walking you should do per
okay.
day. And this includes every type of walking. Even walking to your kitchen should be considered as walking as well.
Mhm.
Um, and the number actually comes close to 10K, but it's not that much. It's about 8,000 K
Eight
step.
thousand. 8,000.
And I personally think 8,000 steps is doable
Uh,
if you walk maybe 15 minutes in the
yeah.
morning, and then just live your life
Yeah.
throughout the day and spend maybe 30 minutes in the evening to also walk in the park. Then you can reach 8K steps uh, pretty much easily, I would say.
Yeah, it's quite sounds quite achievable. But of course, if any of you are very particular, like I say, oh my God, I have to really, really hit the 8K or 10K, whichever your preference is,
Mhm.
I think it's a good opportunity for you to start thinking about, oh, maybe you should get a Fitbit, like an Apple Watch or
Mm,
okay, not Apple Watch because it's quite expensive. I don't even
yeah.
have it, but a device that can help to track how many steps you
Yes.
take a day, and it also I think some of them also calculates your beats per minute, so how quickly your
Ye-
heart is beating,
yes.
because there's a vein, the artery is right over here, so it can easily check the pulse.
Mm,
So I think that's quite useful.
yeah.
But I think all in all, like some of us are very athletic, some of us are a bit more laid back. I think if you really, really do want to get like very personalized, you want to go like hardcore instead of just like, if I go
Mm,
jog in the park, like maybe in the evening or whichever you like, if you want to get more hardcore, like I said, I think a professional may be the better person to refer to, right, Sufyan? Like,
yes.
we have a lot of
That
personal
yes.
trainers nowadays. You can find them at the gym or whatnot. But like I said, every individual is unique. You have to think about what sort of work they do. They could be a housewife, they could be an office worker, or they could just be like, somebody who likes to train a lot, a gym rat, as we call it nowadays. And yeah,
Yes.
so I think as long as you feel good, I think if you feel good, you do something like Sufyan said, you feel a bit like not completely breathless, like you're slightly
Exactly. Yeah.
panting and you feel your heart like beating. Of course, we can all feel it in our chest, right? I think
Mm.
that's more than good enough. Yeah.
And
So
and also I would like to just add on to that.
sure, sure.
Um, you don't have to be a sportsman the next day. You don't have to, oh, I need to pick up swimming. I don't know how to swim. I need to start running. I have bad knees. No, you don't have to do all this. It should start with micro habits. For
Yeah.
example, just if you live in a condominium and your house or your unit is on the 13th floor, I'm not asking you to take the stairs from zero, from the ground floor. You can maybe do,
What's impressive?
let's just do two flights of stairs, and then you can take the lift
It's
from level two. So it's all of this micro habit that stacks up. It's that would help you break out of a sedentary lifestyle. You can walk. You don't have to park. A lot of people like to double park. Even they say, oh, I want to double park in front of this shop because it's going to take me 5 minutes to go in and out.
yeah,
Just park somewhere slightly far and just walk there. It
yeah,
won't take you 12 minutes or 15 minutes to get to the shop. Just as long as you try to build or be mindful of your movement. I think that's the right way,
yeah,
or the best way of
yeah.
putting it. It's not really
Definitely.
activity, it's movement. Just get moving.
There's
Just go and
another there's another
it.
example that I want to mention. So
Mm,
our office is located in Subang Jaya Medical Center, and our office is clearly on the first floor. The first floor. And I still see, I won't name who, some of
uh,
our some of our colleagues still taking the lift just to get to the
the
first floor. Okay.
yeah,
Or
that's
some patients, like instead of taking the stairs, which is just right next to the lift,
Mm.
to get to the first floor, they just want to go for the lift. So that's why at our stairs they say like take the stairs today, be healthier. There's
Yeah,
encouraging you. So I personally like to take the stairs because it's just
yes,
one fleet of stairs, so that's absolutely no problem. But
yes,
it's not just in hospitals, but it can also apply to like shopping malls.
yep,
Because Malaysia is full of shopping malls.
yep.
So why not instead of taking the lift, you can just take the stairs or the
Mm.
escalators, but instead of just like standing there and just letting it
You can just
just
walk.
like walk out there or something like that. I think, yeah, but as Sufyan mentioned, movement, just be mindful of your movements, like how much you walk, and small things actually do matter because eventually you'll develop a habit, and then sooner or later you'll be doing it even without you realizing it. So that's
Mm,
a good way to do it. Yeah. So if you take initiative, you be mindful about your health and your movement, I think all of these can really make big changes in the future, actually.
mm.
Yeah. But I think so we are talking about physical activity, so naturally we'd be thinking about like our weight and our appearance and all of that. But how does weight actually how is it linked to cancer? So what,
So
what does weight and cancer have to do with one another, Sufyan?
so actually that's I think worth discussing as well. So weight, like how is weight associated with the risk of developing cancer? It's because when we are overweight, we carry a little bit more fat tissues. Fat
Yeah.
tissues are adipose tissues, and these are not just what's the word? These are not passive cells. Adipose tissues produces hormones, and
Okay.
these different hormones such as insulins. These hormones actually changes the hormonal landscape of a person who is overweight. So their body is actually tend to be more pro-inflammatory. So their body is more inflamed in a sense, and cancer actually can develop more frequently when the uh, microenvironment, the cellular environment or the body environment is actually more inflammatory. So I think that's the best way of answering this question is that if you carry a little bit more adipose tissues, you carry excess hormones, and that changes the way your body, hormonally speaking, the way your body is shaped, almost in the literal sense. So just even 5 to 10% reduction in body weight can actually meaningfully shift the hormonal landscape or the inflammatory landscape in your body to the right direction. Uh,
I see.
so that's
Okay.
definitely something that we have to bear in mind as well. Cancer is a complex disease, and part of one of the sign or the hallmarks of cancer is pro-inflammatory uh, environment. So as much as we can do to reduce that or to avoid that pro-inflammation body, the better we would fare in terms of minimizing cancer risk.
Right. So speaking of weight, what can we consider a healthy weight? Because that is very, very subjective. So I'm sure that we are all familiar with BMI,
Mm,
body mass index. It's a very, very popular and quick way for us to see whether or not we are underweight, normal weight, or overweight. So I'm going to assume that in BMI terms, normal weight means that you're healthy. But then, I mean, sure, I think we are all free to use BMI. It's very
Yeah, yeah,
simple, easy to use, easy to calculate. It's very convenient. But the thing is that it doesn't really necessarily apply to all the demographics. Because,
yeah.
say, for example, if somebody is very athletic, they have
Yes.
a lot
Like
of muscles,
bodybuilders, for example.
and muscles equals mass, like you get heavier. So if they take the BMI and they find that they have a larger weight, so the BMI would clearly classify them
Mm,
as overweight.
over. Yeah.
So that's not very accurate, is it? Because they're athletic people in the first place. So what so like I said, back to my question, how can you calculate a healthy weight? What would you determine as a healthy weight?
It really does depend, but I would say depending on individuals, the best way of assessing your I would say health health in terms of your body mass instead of weight is to actually assess the fat levels. There are a lot of scans we can do now. You can just walk into a decent, actually, maybe not just walk, you might need to make an appointment, but there are body composition labs that you can go to, even in Malaysia, around KL, to do some kind of body fat scans. One of it is DEXA scan, and this would tell you your. Of course, it would also calculate your BMI, but it ties with it the other different metrics that are going to help a health practitioners to assess your general body health.
So it's like the more complicated ones because I've heard of the body fat calculator.
Mm-hmm,
Some
mm-hmm.
athletes use, and there's
Yeah,
also
that
the
also,
visceral fat calculator. So there's
right.
like quite
Yes.
a lot. It's similar to the BMI because it does take into account of your height and your
Mm,
weight, but they also measure the circumference of your neck and your waist,
yes.
something like that. Then
Yes.
it's a bit more complicated and it's definitely more accurate as compared to just like taking BMI on the dot like that. Yeah.
And I just want to underline as well, especially for men,
Mhm.
um, it's it's some of actually it um men in Malaysia also can tend to have um a body shape where you carry more fat in your abdomen.
Mhm.
Um, but not elsewhere. So it might be easier in your brain to look into the mirror and say, "Oh, I'm not fat," but you are in the sense, because visceral abdominal fat is actually quite um, quite pro-inflammatory. So you I think for men especially you kind of need to watch that as well, how fat your abdomen is, and try to incorporate healthier diet to reduce this fat. Say, yeah.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, that's it's I think for every individual it's quite unique. And but I also did read a recommendation from a few cancer research organizations that oh dear, I think Sufyan is freezing up, but it's okay. I'm still going to talk anyways. Sufyan, so just FYI, you're freezing
That-
up, so there might be something wrong with your internet. Okay, I think I hear you now.
yes, yes,
Can you hear
sorry.
me back? Okay, great,
Yeah.
perfect. So as
You
I was
were
saying,
disconnected or something. Yeah.
oh no, I think you were disconnected,
Oh,
not me.
really?
It's fine here. Anyways, as I was saying, yeah, so it's not just calculator that you should be relying on. I think another reliable way for you to determine if you're a healthy weight or unhealthy weight is by going to have like some medical tests, like a blood test, which we all take as an adult. Then the doctor will measure your blood pressure, your cholesterol level, and your glucose level. I think those are also very helpful in indicating whether you're in optimal health or non-optimal health. Yeah. So
Yeah.
those are definitely some things. So I think, yeah, that's actually all the questions that I have to you with regards to like physical activity and body weight. And checking the time, I have one last question for you, Sufyan. So, what are the steps that we Malaysians can take to reduce our cancer risk besides making changes to our lifestyles? As I've mentioned, the weather,
Yes.
food, and of course, physical activity. So, what else can we do?
Um, I think to summarize this is after you've addressed all of the four main modifiable risk factors, which is I think we didn't really touch on, but it's very, very important. Smoking. If you can try not to smoke, don't smoke. That's one. Alcohol consumption. If you can try to moderate it or even just go teetotal, uh, definitely do it. And like I said, physical activity, increase your daily physical activity. And I think I forgot the last one.
Let me guess. Vaccinations and screenings, very
Yeah,
important for
so
cancer.
those are the other things that you can do, which is basically try to go for a medical checkup,
Yeah.
a regular one, and then certain cancers are actually virus induced. For example, liver cancer from hepatitis B and C, and also head and nose and throat cancer is caused by Epstein-Barr cancer, EBV. So you can take vaccinations for these when you reach a certain age. So I think these are the other things that you can do apart from the four specific modifiable risk factors.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. But because I was focusing on more on what's like, applies to Malaysians, that's why I was talking about the weather and the food.
Yeah,
That's why, yeah. But of course, it's so important for you to do screening, have screenings, regular ones, go see your doctor and have a checkup, get
yeah.
that blood test and whatsoever. And of course, as you've mentioned, get vaccinated. Like say, for example, cervical cancer.
Yes, I forgot to mention that. Yeah,
Yep, cervical
HPV.
cancer, HPV, yes, absolutely. So it's a virus, and but for me, in my case, we were vaccinated in school.
Yeah,
Me,
that's which is good.
I think it was like 3 times or something. Yeah, I remember that we had to like line up and go
Mm.
down to a certain room where the nurses are waiting for us, and then boop, there we go. Yeah, so vaccinations are very important, and if you are still not vaccinated for certain types of viruses or diseases like hepatitis and please do book an appointment with your doctor as soon as possible. It can really, really help you in the long run. Yeah. So this is how you can actually minimize your risk altogether. Of course, just because you do all of these things, you take good care of yourself, you exercise, you eat healthy, you get vaccinated, and etc., it doesn't mean that you would be 100% um, protected from cancer. Because,
Exactly. Yeah.
Sufyan, I think we can both agree that cancer it all depends on luck. It's
Yes.
all about how unlucky or how lucky you are, because even the healthiest person on earth can get cancer. Cancer
Yeah.
really doesn't care. It doesn't give a damn, actually. So,
Yes.
unfortunately, that is the truth. That is a bitter pill to swallow. I can understand for some of you, but don't let that stop you from enjoying your life, from preventing you from eating what you enjoy or doing what you enjoy. But I think
I would also want to
yeah,
add on, which
yeah,
is
sure.
why it's important to support cancer research, especially locally.
Yeah,
Important to support scientific research into cancers as well, because at least once it like if you are unfortunate enough to even get it, even after trying to minimize risk, at least you have the support of the literature and the medical community.
yeah.
What kind of best therapy to get, what kind of drugs that we can use to help you survive.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially since our organization, Cancer Research Malaysia, we are focusing on cancers that affect Malaysians in
Yes,
particular. So it's more localized and it's more specific for us so that, if anything happens in the long run, at least we are backed up by our research and whatnot so that we can help us Malaysians. Yeah. So amazing point that you've made there, Sufyan. And I think, wow, we have really spoken at great length about how
Yeah.
to minimize cancer risk. But
Yes.
I hope that our audience has, been enlightened with all this knowledge and whatsoever. And now, let's give them the chance to ask some questions. Okay, so maybe we can allow like three questions just to, for
Can
time's
I
sake.
address? So
Yeah.
there is very early on, someone was Cheng Kong Chi. Uh,
Yes.
how about occupational cancer
Oh, I'm
in
not familiar with that. You're the scientist, not me.
so basically it's not only in Malaysia but worldwide. It's quite hard to quantify because of what we call a reporting gap. Like if you work in a very high risk environment and let's say you get cancer, it's actually these workers would either change job or retire, and it's hard for us to statistically link what caused that cancer, you know. So there is definitely a reporting gap, but scientists or statistician or epidemiologists, sorry, I think that's the better people to think about. Epidemiologists, people who studies statistics within a public health setting, they believe that the actual burden of occupational cancer, so cancers that occurs because you work within a specific high risk environment, is actually quite high, but it's hard to put a number on it at the moment. About globally, I would say about 2% to 5% of all cancers can be attributed to certain occupational exposures. If we are trying to look into Malaysia and try to think of high risk industries, we still have asbestos. Even though
Yes.
it's been banned globally, there are still things in construction and renovation, especially when you deal with older buildings, they can still be found. Asbestos can still be found in many older Malaysian roofs or tiles. So
Okay.
these can cause specific cancers in the lung, and also a non-cancer disease called mesothelioma. So I think those are the. This is an example of it. You can also think of maybe people who work in furniture industry or timber industry. You would inhale very fine wood dust. This is a proven cause of pharyngeal cancer, which is the nose and the throat cancer.
Let's see.
And lastly, chemicals. There are high grade um, um, solvents that are still used in factories, in automotive industries, and these are solvents that are some of them, such as I think benzene is one of them, and also formaldehydes. If you work in textiles industries, these are known carcinogens. So I guess I don't know how to answer your question because it sounds quite general, but basically it is also something we need to think of, especially if you are a person who works in what is considered high risk occupations. If you are exposed to certain carcinogens, so that is something. I think if you're asking how to minimize the risk, definitely push if there is if it's already in place at your workplace, then follow all of the PPE protective personal protective equipment guidelines. Wear masks, wear your special gloves and stuff like that. If it's not in place, definitely talk to your boss. Maybe try to push for some kind of safety board at your
Mhm.
at work so that they can monitor this. So I think that's the best way that I can answer that question.
Yeah. Okay. So wait, just one quick, let me answer one quick question from Genevieve, whether or not we can share the recording. So the recording of this webinar will be uploaded soon on YouTube, where it's going to be a recap. So if you're interested in checking it out again, maybe check our official YouTube channel, Cancer Research Malaysia. And if you see the recap there for Sufyan and I's webinar, then feel free to check it out. So hopefully that answers your question, Genevieve. And
Um,
we
so
just
I
received
see.
one new Q&A from
Yeah.
the chat
Um,
box.
so it's related to the occupational cancers.
Yeah.
A very interesting question. Outside of physical or chemical carcinogens, can certain cancers be attributed to high work-related stress? I think traditionally that would not be subsumed or considered as carcinogens. Definitely not. But um, it is definitely a good point where there are occupations that are very high stress, and it might cause you to not take care of your health
Yeah, the
as
immune system would be affected
yes,
by
yes,
stress.
but scientifically, it's quite hard to link that to a particular cause of cancers because cancers are still um real what's the word? Sorry, real is not the right word. So cancers are still caused by specific changes in the molecules in your body. So there are mechanistic flow towards getting cancer.
Mhm.
Stress is a more general stress on the whole body. So not only can you it not only it may lead to cancer, it may also lead to something else like obesity. And we already know obesity can lead to cancer. So it's quite hard to tease out the actual causal link to certain cancers. So to answer directly your question, I don't think it's as easy to do to link or attribute certain cancers to just high work related stress. But it is definitely a food for thought.
Yeah.
If we can manage stress, it would lead to a more general health. And of course, general health would also include minimized risk towards certain cancers. So,
Yeah, awesome. Hopefully that answers your question. So thank you to Sufyan for answering the question.
no worries.
And we have a question from Cheng Kong Chi. So yes, so I think there are no other questions related to today's topic for now because nobody has really typed in the chat box. So right now, if you allow me, let me share the details on how you can actually receive your e-certificate for this webinar. So I'm sharing it right now. Let me know if you can see it as well, Sufyan. I think you should be able to see it. Yeah?
Yeah,
Oh, good. Great. So this is our standard procedure on how to obtain the e-certificate. So if you want, you can just take a screenshot of this so that you can refer it to later. So let me just tell you about it step to step. So after today's webinar, tomorrow actually, you would receive an email from Zoom and it contains a link to a feedback form. So all you have to do, you just click on the link, go to the form and you fill it out. So, and at the bottom section, you would see that they would ask you the question, oh, do you want an e-certificate or not? So if you click yes, then you have to fill out details like your name, please give your full proper name. Don't just give some random username because that would be reflected in your e-certificate. And of course, we would provide you the e-certificate with a minimum of RM1 donation. And once you have made the donation, then you take a screenshot of that and you attach the screenshot in there. So that's the proof of your donation. And after that, all you have to do is just wait within 30 days and the e-certificate will be sent to you. But if you happen to have a hiccup, maybe you didn't receive it within 30 days, feel free to reach out to us at the email address which is provided below, which is de-comms@cancerresearch.my. So it'll be great if you can just like take a picture of this. The email is there for your reference in case you have any questions related to the webinar e-certificate, and we'll be more than happy to help you with this. Yep. Um, so I'm going to stop sharing right now for this one, assuming that we're all clear. And Right. So one last thing I would like to share before we come to an end for our webinar. So Cancer Research Malaysia, our scientists, it's not just about our scientists doing research, Sufyan is just like busy like typing on his laptop and discussing with his other fellow scientists on what to do. We don't just do that. We also do host some very fun activities for fundraising. So one of our big fundraising events is called Race Against Cancer. So if you've been following us on social media like LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook, you'll see that this event is currently in promotion. Yeah. So let me share it right now with those of you who have not seen it. So this is our poster for Race Against Cancer, right? So we can all see it right over here. So this will be happening on the 29th of March, which is very soon this month. It's at Kepong Metropolitan Park. It's a fun run. It's not competitive, so please don't assume it's a race. So you can invite your family, your friends, and you can go there and just enjoy it. The purpose of this run is just to raise cancer awareness and also to raise funds for cancer research. So yeah, it's technically going to be a very interesting outing. So if you are available and if you want to go with friends or family, we would really appreciate that you can join us on this big day. So as you can see, the theme, because it's nearing Ramadan, so we are actually making it like the theme is like this. So if you register and if you sign up for this race, you'll be getting this item. So you'll be getting the t-shirt. So it's a very nice green and purple color. If you like collecting t-shirts, this would be a fine addition to your collection. And of course, our medal is also quite unique because you can see that it's in the shape of a ketupat. So it's quite nice, right? I think it'll be great if you can all like get the medal as well as the t-shirt. So the QR code at the bottom right is for you to scan if you're interested in learning more about Race Against Cancer, Kuala Lumpur, and if you want to register. And of course, all the information is in our social media, so check out information over there. There will also be a race kit collection in which you're required to collect your t-shirt so that you'll be wearing it on the day itself. So again, if anything, you're free to contact us, and we'll be really, really happy if you could join this event and join us in, well, raising awareness about cancer and also, seeking to help fund cancer research, which is so important to us Malaysians. So I think that's all from me. I think that's the end of my promotion over here. And yeah, I think that's really all. So thank you all so much for spending about more than an hour. I think it's long. I agree. It's we usually keep it to 1 hour, but I think Sufyan and I have talked a lot about a lot of interesting things. And there are still some things that we haven't covered yet. But don't worry, maybe next time I'll drag Sufyan to talk a bit more about this. It's a continuation if you want to. Yeah? So I'm sure you'll be happy to talk about it, right, Sufyan?
Yes.
Amazing. Yeah. So thank you so much. You've been a wonderful guest speaker, and thank you to all of you here who are attending today. We really do appreciate your time, and we hope to see you again in the next public webinar. So keep an eye out on social media, on Instagram. We'll be posting and keeping you up to date. Right? So thank you, Sylvian. I think that's all
Thank you.
for now. Yeah. Don't want to bother you anymore. So
That's
thank
all
you
right.
so much and goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you to all.